All righty. Hello. Welcome to Star Wars from a Certain Point of View with Carlos and Chris. We're going to have a good show today. We're going to be talking to writer, director, filmmaker Gabe Kawamura and his new Bo-Katan. It's already been spoiled, Gabe, so I'm going with it. Yeah. His new Bo-Katan fan film that he's going to start shooting here in just a couple of weeks. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to have a great show. All righty, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Gabe, how are you, sir?
Doing real good. How about you all?
We're doing well. Welcome to the show. How are you, you little young Padawan whippersnapper? You?
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me on the show tonight.
Absolutely. So, Chris, I got to give you a little bit of a background.
All right.
Me and Gabe go way back, like in utero, if you will, because
Woo.
I've known his father, Kenji, I figured it out today, Gabe. I've known Ken for 40 years.
Wow.
I am 52. I met Ken when I was 12. And I don't know if you know this about your dad. Your dad was awesome. He was one of my best friends, still is. He is my original Jedi Master. He's the Yoda. Me and him are joking about you today. He's Yoda. I'm his Qui-Gon, and you're my Obi-Wan. So, you're my Padawan. I'm still
nice.
Ken still teaches me every, year we learn stuff together. But anyway, your dad was like king of the neighborhood and was the coolest kid. Could ride bikes, had the cool car, had the girls, was in a band. Your dad was awesome, man. So Chris, so anyway, Ken has two kids. He has two sons. He has Kanan and Gabriel. Gabriel's the youngest. And nice. It's kind of weird because Kanan went into music for a little bit, and then Gabriel went into film. And I'm kind of like both. I'm a musician who does film. So this is a great pairing. And one of the great things that I learned is Gabe reached out to me about his fan film that he's working on. And first thing I always do, because, I'm in the business of Star Wars, as everybody knows, and I get sent a lot of stuff, or I get a lot of pie in the sky. And like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And so I always say, well, send me something. Send me a writing, send me a script, send me something. And Gabe did. Gabe right away emailed me the script. I printed it out. And I got my little red pen out, right? Because I was going to start to bloody it up and correct things and spelling and this and that. And you know what? Nothing. I had nothing. I had like maybe one thing to add, one line that me and Chris both poked out to us. And we're like, oh, we're going to need to change that one line. But dude, it was solid. It was about 15, 16 pages?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's 16 pages. Yeah.
16 pages. And in the world of filmmaking, pretty much each page of a screenplay equals roughly about 1 minute of film. 1 minute, yeah. So that's where you want to kind of like, you want to kind of plan out when you're going to write a script and stuff like that, you kind of want to aim for that certain. Is that you, Chris, or is that Gabe? Oh, it's probably Gabe because he chopped it off.
That's me. Sorry.
That's okay, buddy. So anyway, Gabe sends me a screenplay script for his new fan film. And before I let Gabe take over and tell us about this, I want to give everybody a background on you, Gabe. I don't want to embarrass you, but you got some accolades here for such a young Padawan. Right. You've been making films for about 12 years. You sent your first film to film festivals in 2012 when you were only 14.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Didn't get accepted, but I did the work.
That's what I mean. You did the work. You sent me a script, dude, within like hours. So I knew you were this kid who means business, because that weeds out a lot of stuff, right? Like if you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, and then you never follow through, it doesn't matter. Your first film to actually go to a film festival was The Yearbook in 2019. You've worked with actors of various calibers, most notably an Emmy Award winner. Nice. The films you started out making were small backyard projects that evolved into making intricate productions with a wider audience. In the future, you want to go into sci-fi, action, drama, writer, director on large-scale films. Cinematography is an area you love as well. And there are a lot of films I appreciate with their cinematography. You're a writer-director from Colorado. You graduated from the University of Colorado in Boulder, Sweet, in 2020. You earned a 3-year directing contract with a short film producer. Your film's gone to various film festivals around the U.S., and you had your first film air on TV at age 15. This is all awesome. I really, really dig this. And just to wrap up, your educational summary was while you were at CU in Boulder, you pursued a comprehensive study of media production and moving image arts, which is very, very important for all you younger filmmakers out there. Absolutely. You specialize in writing, directing, and producing, and also had a premier experience with extended reality production and emerging technologies from a new digital frontier. So you are all set up to go, my man. Like I said, you're crossing the T's, you're dotting the I's. Now, what it really comes down to is vision. I'm a huge, huge film nut, as your dad probably told you, and as you've known me your whole life, pretty much. We can talk about Christopher Nolan to Quentin Tarantino to Sidney Lumet to William Friedkin all day. And I am a student of film and music, and I love to learn. And what I really love is learning things from other artists, which I clearly view you as an artist. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you tell me what your vision is, a little bit more of your background, and where you want to go. So take it away. Go ahead, Gabe.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that. I have always been into filmmaking since as long as I can remember. I can't really think of like one moment where I like where it clicked with me, where I knew that I wanted to become a filmmaker. It's just all been so long ago. I do know that I watched a lot of special features and stuff when I was a kid. And I think that's probably what started things, got things going. And yeah, I was just intrigued by how films were made and how the whole process with green screen and using stunt doubles works and stuff like that. And yeah, I just decided to make that my craft and did as much as I could to improve that and tell the stories I wanted to. And I feel like I'm a storyteller at heart. I always have some stories to tell. And with that is a really good thing with a filmmaker, that you write these stories and stuff like that, make these films, and then you can show your audience so they can all appreciate it. And I went to CU to study film and media production, made lots of stuff there. And when I was at CU, that's when I went to Sundance Film Festival. Nice. I wasn't a part of an official selection or anything, but I went there with an invitation from Jeff Gibson. He directed the very first Disney VR film, and he was there at Sundance showcasing it and stuff. And me and some other filmmakers, we all went there to visit him and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just all kinds of really cool and exciting parts about filmmaking that I just love, and it's just captivated my interest for so long. I haven't really made anything that I've written and directed in a while. Ever since quarantine, I haven't really made anything. I've been doing some freelance work in the background, but like I really wanted to get something out there that I was the director of. And I started writing this film, and I like the words just like flew off the page. Like there were just so many ideas coming to my mind, and I just kind of had to narrow it down. But once I figured out that I wanted to make a film surrounding Bo-Katan, with her being the main character, I like finished the rough draft in about a day. And and that's how I knew that I was like passionate about the story that I was writing, because it was like I didn't have any writer's block whatsoever, and usually that happens with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Can I ask a quick question then? So was it like, oh, I have this great Bo-Katan story I want to get out, or was it more like, oh, I want to write a story about her, and then you just kind of did?
Yeah, it was more like what you said. I was really interested in the character, and I didn't really have a story that I wanted to tell, but I knew that I wanted to have some action scenes. I knew that I wanted to have a really strong exploration of the characters themselves. And that's where I started. And I was just thinking like what part, because Bo-Katan is a really cool character and I enjoy her character a lot, but she's not a character that pops up a lot, and you don't really know that much of her story, like, you know, certain things. But really there's a lot of gaps in her story that still need to be told. So I was trying to focus on one of those areas. And I came up with what's in the film, and I started from that point on. And then I just kind of figured out how the story was going to evolve, and it just took it from there. And then, yeah, after that first rough draft, I didn't like have any of the dialogue or anything at that point, but I started writing that into there. And then I was like starting to like get some like a visual picture of like the shots and stuff like that. And when that happens, for me, that's when I know that it's something that's like that I'm really excited for, is that I can like visualize it. Like if I can't visualize it, then it might not be worth doing for me. So this, like I was like very vividly picturing it. And I think that's also what helped me write the story so quickly too. Yeah. So that's a little bit about the story and like just the process. From there, I spent a couple of months workshopping the script, figuring out all the details, making things happen. And yeah.
Let me ask you really quick, because I write screenplays also, and I've worked with people in the film industry and whatnot. And I've just recently picked up golf. So this is one of my little tangents. I always go this way. But as I'm learning golf, my buddy who's really good at golf says you have to play from the hole back, which is basically a way of saying, reverse engineer. And when I write, I do the same thing like you were saying, Gabe. Like I start with, I know pretty much it's almost Sylvester Stallone version. And, people might bag on Stallone for his acting, whatever. I love Sylvester Stallone. And when he wrote Rocky, he was like, I know the ending. I know the down on his luck Palooka is going to like at least last this entire fight. He's not going to win, but that's not the goal. The goal is this. And if I can get this scene, I can write backwards to get me to that scene. And that's kind of what I do also. I'm like, I know where we're going. I got to figure out my characters, how to get there. So give us the timeline of when you saw, because I know this is from like Rebels episode 1 and 2, and then this is like your 2.5. Because so when you watch those first 2 episodes, and I'll let you tell everybody where the time frame is, what did you go right to the end? Like, I know here's where Bo-Katan needs to end up. I'm going to go back, frontwards back, or backwards front. So explain
exactly
there.
Yeah. So I see how Sylvester Stallone started at the end and went to the beginning, but I did it the opposite way. I started at the beginning, and here's why: because I know where Bo-Katan was in Mandalorian season 2,
right?
And like she kind of shows up out of nowhere, which like, so I guess I could have like figured out like anything, right? But what was the most compelling part for me was after Rebels season 4, episode 2, like you said, Heroes of Mandalore part 2. She is given the Darksaber by Sabine, and then that makes her the ruler, and then it cuts out, and then we don't see her until Mandalorian season 2.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my starting point there. And then I knew I wanted to tell that story of Bo-Katan reuniting the people of Mandalore, because there's so much Imperial activity and corruption, and then there's the Great Purge that happens. And I wanted to explore all of that, which hasn't been seen in any mainstream Star Wars films or any fan films that I know of. And I just think it was a super important thing. And I know a lot of the Star Wars community really enjoys Mandalorian culture and Mandalore as a whole. And I think that the fans would really enjoy seeing something like that, telling that story. And so, yeah, I started from literally the very last seconds of Heroes of Mandalore Part 2, started the screenplay there. Yeah, so this film is like Heroes of Mandalore Part 3, if you will. I told Carlos that earlier, but...
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you had a good question for me after you read the script, because you were like, well, is this like... I know it's fan canon, I guess, if that's a word, but you wanted to know, like, does this line up specifically with what's in The Mandalorian and what's in Star Wars canon, or is this, how did you ask me that question, Chris? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was just curious about, I mean, obviously, there's not much canon with Bo-Katan other than exactly where this ends in Rebels and where it starts in Mandalorian, right? I mean, there's so much gap in there. So I was just curious about that. Yeah, Carlos pretty much summed it up. I'm just like, wow, how do you... Yeah, you just asked the question I was asking.
We got a question for you really quick, Gabe, from one of our fans. And actually, Jeffrey JFed is well known in the Colorado community, and he is actually helping us out. I'm going to be like a pseudo producer for Gabe. I'm basically going to be, like I said, his Jedi Master in the wings. I'm going to help him protect this kid, and I'm going to make sure we get this film made by all means possible. And JFed is an integral part of that. And Jeffrey says, Gabe, what is the hardest thing to do as far as putting this project together?
Well, let me tell you, Jeff, and that's something that you have really helped out with a lot, is the costumes and just finding talent who wanted to work on this film. Now, like I said, there's a huge Star Wars community, and we're so fortunate here in Colorado to have lots of fans and people a part of the community. But the largest problem was the costumes. For example, stormtroopers, they're completely covered head to toe. Announcing the stormtroopers in the film. Stormtroopers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Stormtroopers, it's not something that you can very cheaply make a costume for. And, if they're going to be playing the bad guys, you're going to be beating them up and destroying the costumes and stuff like that. So that was a really big challenge. And that's something that I'm definitely getting on top of here, and things are looking really good. But you might be interested in some of the other stuff like green screen, since this is a Star Wars film, lots of visual effects, CGI, green screen and stuff like that. But there's so many resources online for that sort of thing. And it's actually going to be really not that bad. And I also have a visual effects producer, so I don't have to worry about it myself. So I'm just going to let him worry about it.
Yep. You're just going to give him the shot list and he has to complete it basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good deal.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Go ahead.
Nice, man. Well, I was going to ask stunts and things like that. I mean, have you got stunt guys or you just kind of have,
I do. Curious. Yeah, I do. So I reached out to a local Denver based stunt team. Mm-hmm. And they were super awesome, super nice. And they are providing a stunt team for the film.
Cool.
And and they are all actors and stuntmen, stunt people together. So they have acting chops and they can, throw themselves down a big hill if they want to, or jump up a wall or something.
While wearing stormtrooper armor, right?
Exactly.
Wow. I'm reading the script. It's really ambitious. It's a big, small project, if you will. It's an oxymoron. It's going to be fantastic if you can pull this off because of the visual effects. And one of the first thing, I don't want to give anything away either, but one of the first things I called up Gabe the next day and I was like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? How do you get this person from there to there? And he was like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. This is
already
awesome,
thought through it, huh?
Totally. Special effects and green screen and CGI, all the film student projects I ever worked on, we didn't have CGI. We were old school. We were Ray Harryhausen, we were doing stop go motion stuff and
you had a ship hanging on a string as you let it across the screen.
If that, you have iPhones and they can shoot all this stuff with all the iPhone stuff. It just blows me away. I wish I had that stuff in high school.
Yeah.
Great. So what are the other challenges or what are the other rewards you're looking for to why this overall in one sentence, why Bo-Katan in Star Wars right now? Where are you at with the Star Wars universe? Because Star Wars is kind of getting kind of crazy. And like I said, me and Chris are original generation. So we're from the 70s. We saw Star Wars when we were kids. We waited 3 years for each film. So we've been through this again, Cassian, since we were 7 years old. Yes. But it's I want to know how and why it hit your generation, you specifically, and you had to make this film because you can't make a film unless you have to make a film or so it's done. So walk me through your passion from Star Wars and what drove this project other than just being I like Bo-Katan. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, it all started with my dad, who introduced me to Star Wars. And it's funny because you introduced my dad to Star Wars and taught him all the stuff. And then it trickled down to me. Yeah. Now it's a full circle and now I'm making movies about Star Wars. But I fell in love with the story because back when I was introduced to Star Wars, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, hadn't even been released yet. So I think I was telling Chris the first film that I ever saw, my introduction to Star Wars was Attack of the Clones, what I saw in theaters. And then, but then from there, like I watched the original trilogy and then just fell in love with it as a kid. I could only imagine how you all felt when you first saw the episode 4, 5, and 6 in theaters. Like that must have been amazing.
First thing, you young whippersnapper, we got to correct you, right, Chris? Because I don't know what this episode 4, 5, 6 is. All I know is Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi.
Amen.
We're just giving you a big hug. We're just teasing you, but I know. It was literally like, I don't know, first time you hear a sound or you see colors on TV or something, like there was nothing like Star Wars. It just dropped. It just dropped. And all of a sudden, there were great films before that, Jaws and everything else and Rocky and all that. But no, Star Wars was its own thing. And it was just, again, on our podcast, in our first episode, me and Chris talked about the first time we got to experience it. And so it's great because it's funny that you said Attack of the Clones, because I was going to bring up a story about your dad again, where he must have been taking you around that time, because I went to go visit him at his work. We weren't working together at the time. And he was asking me all these questions about Attack of the Clones. He was like trying to figure it all out. Like the clones are this and the clones are that, but they're the good guys, but they're the this, and then there's a that, and there's an Ackley. And I'm like, hey, you got Ackley. Good job, buddy. And it's funny because if that's when he was exposing it to you, he's probably trying to learn so he can share it with you and stuff. And it was really great. And I remember literally sitting down at a table explaining the Clone Wars to your dad, and now you could probably explain it to me, because truth be told, I don't follow a lot of the Clone Wars and or Rebels and or this or that, because it's just almost too much for me. Like it's a different generation for me, and it's almost too much. And so I'm learning stuff from your script and what you're already talking about. But after you saw Attack of the Clones and you went to go see Revenge of the Sith for the first time, was that when it really Star Wars cemented in you, like your DNA? Is that? Yeah. Because we all know that Star Wars bug. We all know when we get it, right?
Yeah. I think I had the bug before Revenge of the Sith came out, but then once I saw it, it was like life-changing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it about that movie? What's your favorite parts? What's your favorite this? Because me and Chris will try hard not to trash it. I'm kidding.
Well, being a kid, I think I must have been in elementary school, maybe even young. Well, actually, yeah, probably elementary school. And it was just like the humongous scale of the film. Like there's these like massive dogfights out in space with like hundreds of ships. And then like General Grievous is super cool. And then, I don't know, it's just like all of these like really large scale things that really made me like it all come together with me. I wasn't old enough to understand the importance of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. And I wish I was. Because I know that's like a huge part, of course. But like for me, it was just like, wow, like this is all happening. And like, I don't even think I understood it like completely, but yeah, it was really eye opening. It was great.
Now, did you guys, again, so I assume that you already knew Anakin was Luke's dad then by the time you were a little kid, or did you not know that?
I can't even remember. I must have known watching, Empire Strikes Back, but I don't know. Like, I can't remember.
Yeah,
that's again with Star Wars. You like, when did I learn the whole controversy with Slave One? Right. Let's take another little detour. We're like trying to remember when was the first time we heard that, or when did we first hear of Slave Leia or something? Like, I'm like, I don't know. It was just one day it was there, and you don't know when it was there, kind of a thing. But so give us some more love for your prequels, because it sounds like you're a prequel kid.
I am a prequel kid, and I don't think it's because of like all of the visual effects and stuff. Like I'm not that kind of person who will just watch a movie because of the visual effects. Like there has to be story, and I think Revenge of the Sith has plenty of story, and that's why, being the age I am now, I can really appreciate Episode 3 as well, because there's like so much like is happening, and it's a bit darker of a story, and it's like I just really like all the things that happen. Like it's almost too much to handle in one. Like I definitely I've watched this movie countless times, and every time I watch it, like I still pick up on new things. And like, me, I'm a filmmaker, I'm paying attention to everything, but like, it's just, there's so many layers to it, and it's really cool and definitely worth studying as a filmmaker.
Nice. Chris, you got anything to add to that?
I was going to ask, what is the influence? I mean, obviously, you were saying, Rebels season 4, episodes 1 and 2 are what are the prequels to your story, right? So, what influence did like the animated Star Wars animated do? So, I'm talking Clone Wars, Rebels, obviously Rebels somewhat. Did that help stir this, or I'm assuming it's going to have a bunch of influence on your process there? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think, Rebels. Rebels is one large story told through multiple seasons, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
And the Clone Wars is, there might be a series of like 3 or 4 episodes together that like form a story arc, and when you put those together, that's a feature length film, either an hour and a half or 2 hours long. And I have been watching a lot of Clone Wars and Rebels lately, and I rewatched before Mandalorian season 2 came out. I rewatched the Mandalore storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I was like, wow, like I can't remember the last time I watched it. Like it honestly probably wasn't that long ago, but like at the same time, like it's just always impressive how good that storyline is, and all the characters that come in and out, and these things that happen. There's tragedies, there's drama, there's a whole bunch of cool things, and I thought that was really compelling, and I wanted to continue that story and keep that going. And these characters, they have so much backstory, and they're very intricate characters, but sometimes they don't really come across in those shows. And I kind of wanted to develop that a little bit more and explore what it means to be the ruler, what it means to own the Darksaber, and all that stuff. And is it really something that you want to do, or is it because the culture expects you to do that? And those sorts of things.
Right. Very cool. Since you brought up the Darksaber, I'm really curious about your thoughts on this, since you're obviously a Mandalorian story guy. So in Star Wars, The Mandalorian season 2, right at the very end, Bo-Katan, they try to, or Mando tries to give her, or I shouldn't call him Mando anymore. I should call him actual Din Djarin, right? But
Mando.
Yeah, okay. So he tries to give her the Darksaber. He's like, I don't want this, and she's like, I can't take that. I'm curious about your take on that, because back in Star Wars Rebels, Sabine gives it to her, and she had no problem with that.
Yep, and it wasn't the first time Bo-Katan refused the Darksaber. In Heroes of Mandalore Part 1, Sabine tries to give it to her, and she refuses it. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's like basically the same exchange that happens with Din Djarin and Bo-Katan in season 2.
Right.
Sabine offers it to her, and she says, no, it has to be earned. And I already had my chance to rule, and I failed. And I thought that was very interesting. And then finally, at the end of Heroes of Mandalore Part 2, she takes it because everybody convinces her that they have her back and they're going to stand behind her and stuff like that and support her. And I thought that was really interesting, because at first she said that she wasn't worthy of it. She didn't feel like she could do it, and that she already tried and failed. And now here she is in that same position again. So then when I was writing the story, I was thinking about what experience did she have that she didn't have before. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened that made her kind of say, I'm not doing that again,
Yeah. And now why does she want to? Why did she take the Darksaber after all? And that's very exciting stuff that I explore in this story.
Jeffrey has a question for you. Question for Gabe. Star Wars movies start off with a ship shot. I'll say that 3 times fast. Will you be keeping that tradition alive? Now let's think of this. Star Wars, the Star Destroyer, Empire, the Pawns, Jedi, the shuttle, episode 1. Oh yeah, the shuttle thing, episode 2, where I actually like the opening of Attack of the Clones because we're upside down.
Yeah.
And the ship turns over in the fog. That's a great intro of Attack of the Clones. Part 3, clearly they're doing like Top Gun. And Force Awakens, it is with, the ships coming out, the
Shadow.
Last Jedi, yep, the ships are coming out. They're all leaving the planet. And then, and then Rise of Skywalker, we see Kylo flying over to Mustafar again. Wow, that's right, Jeffrey. Wow. Did we want to do Solo and Rogue One? Did Solo and Rogue One open up with ship shots?
Solo did not. Neither did Rogue One.
Definitely did. Rogue One did because it was
kind of a ship shot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Solo didn't because Solo he was in his little speeder.
Yeah, it starts out on actually the cityscape of Corellia.
Of course.
Yeah.
So Gabe, are you gonna open it up with a ship shot? Because I read the script, man.
So the script does not start with the ship shot. The script, I'm going to reveal this right now.
Oh,
the very beginning of the film, and it's not a spoiler because it's like literally the first second, starts with the same exact shot that Rebels Heroes of Mandalore Part 2 ended with Sabine and Ursa on either side of Bo-Katan, who's lifting up the Darksaber, and then that symbolizes a whole lot. And then that's the exact shot. I'm going to recreate that shot, if Lucasfilm permits. But I'm going to start with that shot. But I don't know, Jeffrey. That's pretty cool. I might have to stick with tradition and like start with the planet
shot,
and then like pan down or something like that.
Oh, Jeffrey rewriting the script already. We have a rewrite. Sarah says crawl or no crawl.
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. And since Rebels Heroes of Mandalore Part 1 and 2 I don't think that I will. And I think the crawl will be to watch Heroes of Mandalore Part 2.
Oh, there you go.
Because it just really takes off right where that leaves off. So
cool. Kind of like The Last Jedi takes off right where The Force Awakens ends off.
Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about The Last Jedi. Hey,
let's not.
I don't know where Gabe stands on this. Gabe, no peer pressure. No peer pressure.
What's up?
Where are you at on the sequels, more specifically The Last Jedi? We ask all of our fans.
The Last Jedi.
Why The Last Jedi?
Just because you know why. Shh, let him answer.
Okay, well, I think The Last Jedi is my favorite of the sequel trilogy. It's so interesting. There's so much story that they promise, and regardless of if they tie up those loose ends or not, it's just so cool seeing all these things that are proposed to the audience, and it's very exciting. And I hope they kind of tie up these loose ends that weren't tied up in Rise of Skywalker.
Wow. Spoken like a prodigy. There you go.
Really?
Film student gets it. Gabe gets it.
Spoken like a film student.
Woo-hoo. He gets it.
Jeez.
Ryan Johnson, again, is a monster filmmaker. Like, I mean, just sit down with Knives Out on some Friday night and have dinner and watch Knives Out, and it'll blow. The way that movie is shot, much less like The Last Jedi, the way The Last Jedi was shot, like cinematically, right, Gabe? Like you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get the framing and the composition of the shots. You can just push pause and frame any shot that he shoots.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. Ryan Johnson, and the dialogue. And I hate that. He gets bagged on it because of blah 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 blah. But he's so good in other stuff. Like he's done so much with Brick and Looper and Breaking Bad, for Christ's sakes. Is like he did like the 3 top Breaking Bad episodes, and the guy just knows composition. He just does.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a musician, and I might not like Bo Diddley, but Bo Diddley can play the hell out of a guitar. I don't have to like it, but I can appreciate it. And I just don't think he'll never get it. People just don't care. It's unfortunate, but hey, Gabe gets it. Nice. So, okay. So really quick. Also, Chris, you were going to ask him something about going forward. Like if this lines up with it, or are we stopping after one fan film, or is there an open-ended door for more of these, or
Yep.
That's
what I was wondering. Yeah.
Is it open-ended? Well, you'll just have to watch the movie and find out. Because I cannot say anything that happens towards the second half of the film. I will say that, but yeah.
Blew my mind. Like I said, reading the script, and I won't give anything away either. But ambitious. Fantastic.
Are there other characters that we can know about, or are you just trying to keep it all into wraps? And
yeah, well, I'll tell you, since it ties in with, I'm not going to compare it to Rebels or anything like that. I don't want Lucasfilm to be on my case about it. That this is a fan film, but it does take place around that time, and therefore we will see a return of Sabine and Ezra in live action for the first time.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and that's super exciting. That's what is something that I'm really stoked about with this film is that, there have been rumors that Ezra might show up in future Lucasfilm content, Sabine as well, and that will be live action most likely. But what can we have for the audience in the meantime while they're waiting for that to happen?
Cool.
Showing them
Right on.
some live action characters for the first time.
Speaking of which, because Celebration isn't until next May, and we're definitely going, and my goal is to take the film with me, basically, theoretically, and start getting it out there to the fans and stuff. So, Gabe, your shooting schedule starts in a couple of weeks. I think we start shooting in July 18th, I believe, is when we start shooting.
Yep.
And I think you want to release it probably fourth quarter of this year. You're going to try to get it up at the end of this year?
Definitely, yeah. So I definitely want to have it by the end of 2021. Hopefully, as soon as possible, as long as the project is, of a quality that I can approve and get it out there and something that the fans are going to be happy with. And it's just something that we're all proud of. Like, we're all spending so much time making this film. We have a lot to owe to the Star Wars community, and we have to do it the right way. And I do want to stick to that goal of finishing it before the end of the year.
I definitely want to do that. And I also want to be like, ooh, hey, Chris, we have exclusivity with Gabe, because I signed Gabe's ours, man. And we want to do like a watch party. We want to do like a Q&A. We want to and then what I'm trying to work with Gabe also, if I can borrow like a friend's theater, because I know people that run theaters in town and stuff like that. And I would love, because by then, with COVID and all that crap, I would love to give it a proper, put it on a movie theater scene, like in an Alamo Draft House or something, like a 200-seater or something. Like, let's put it on screen. Let's give you a microphone, introduce the film. Let's watch it. Let's invite, special guest and this and that. And we'll just all be in a theater, and you play your picture, man.
Absolutely.
That would be so awesome.
That would be amazing.
We completely go all out that way. And I want to do that because I've done that before. And I'm working on that stuff behind the scenes. Like I said, we're going to get this film made. And we're going to get it out there because, like I said, I really believe in you, dude. I think you're fantastic. And like I said, that third act of the script, I know it's a little, shoot. Chris, go ahead and take over really quick. I'm getting a call from my mom. So
take it.
Excuse me one sec.
Sure, man. Hey, I also wanted to just ask you a little bit about casting. Like, where did you get casting? I mean, how did you find, like, as far as like looking like the characters? You got someone that's got to look like Bo-Katan. You got to have somebody who looks relatively like Ezra, etc. So where have you done with that?
Yep. So I really wanted to keep the project within the Star Wars community. I wanted, fans to be able to be a part of it, and I just wanted to keep that alive, and just build a community within the making of the film as well. So I first reached out to Star Wars costume clubs and stuff like that. The unofficial ones, I just found their websites and emailed them and stuff like that. They were super helpful, found some people that way. And then I contacted the 501st Legion and Mandalorian Mark's Costume Club and stuff, the local Colorado groups.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to keep it within. All of the talent is local. They're all Colorado based. Yeah. And I had them send me auditions and stuff like that, and went through the whole casting process and stuff.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
And how about like music and sound?
Music and sound. So I haven't really thought about that one yet. I'm obviously not going to rip off like actual Star Wars stuff.
Of course, yeah.
So my intention is to do that stuff on my own. Well, not on my own, but like build that stuff with my team. Whether that be, I don't know, just like banging metal sheets together or like something, but like it of course has to sound like Star Wars.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, and there's some free download packs, and there's even like some paid stuff that I can get online too, which would be copyright free. So like I won't run into any copyright or trouble with that. So I'm going that route, and then music. I'm going to have somebody, a composer, score the music. So it's going to be an original score. Hopefully with like a little bit of John Williams flair to give it that classic Star Wars sound. And when I was at CU, my capstone project was to create. Well, it was up to me. It started off being a film, but as soon as quarantine happened, I wasn't able to film or do anything in person. So it was just all me. So I adjusted my film script to just be an audio story. So it's just completely all audio based. And I was just digging in layers and layers and layers of audio so that like you can reach out, but you can't touch the wall of the audio. Like there's just so many layers going on at once. And that was something that, I put a lot of time into, and audio is, you certainly can't skip out on audio. Like I always hear this quote that you can have bad video in a film and it's forgivable, but if you have bad audio, like it just completely ruins the whole film. And audio is like, it's something that people take for granted sometimes too. It's like, oh, it's just audio. You don't visually see it, but it's so important. And especially with the Star Wars film, there's so much going on in the atmosphere and everything like that. So,
yeah. Cool. I have some friends that do that kind of stuff, so we can talk after.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. I'm interested. Sounds good.
I have a thanks guys. Sorry about that. Everything's
no problem.
good. Come on, we're good.
Good.
Ryan says it amazes me how Disney is able to put out so many live action movies, TV shows, cartoons for Marvel, but it takes forever to get Star Wars content. Imagine getting 4 Star Wars movies in a year like Marvel. Before I ask you guys to answer, I will say no. I do not want 4 Star Wars movies a year. No, you cray. No, and I'll tell you why in a second. Chris, what do you think?
I agree. Because here's why: too much coming out. I can't memorize it. I can't collect all the figures. I can't like watch it 30 times. If you got movies coming out like 4 a year, I can't even keep the stories separated. Like Marvel blows me away. I'm like, wait, when did that happen? Wait, that was in three. Oh, I forgot about that.
So after Endgame, during Endgame,
yeah, exactly right, man. Oh, this is in the multiverse. Oh, okay. Well,
right.
Whatever.
So, before we go more deeper, Gabe, what do you think?
I think Marvel has a cool thing going on. I don't want to see as many films with Star Wars, but what Marvel has going on is that they have a humongous universe that they're building, and there's so many little details that might come together 3 or 4 years later that you see in like a film. And I think that's super cool. And that would be cool to see in Star Wars, like maybe with The Last Jedi, like maybe some of those things that were teased might happen later on. But yeah, like that's what I really like about Marvel. All of the pieces eventually come full circle. But with Star Wars, no, like I agree with you, Chris. I want to be able to memorize all the stuff, and like I just don't want to like watch it once and feel like I have to move on to the next thing.
Right.
So yeah, too much is not good, but yeah, I think where they're at with at least 1 series coming out a year, that's pretty good. I know that this year there's probably going to be 2, if not more, series coming out with
Bad Batch, Obi-Wan coming out, and then Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so I mean that's a lot of content right there, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And where are you at on the Bad Batch, Gabe? How are you feeling about that and that storyline with Omega?
Yeah, Omega.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Bad Batch yet.
I dig it. It.
Really?
Yeah.
Here's my thing with it. It's that they're introducing they're bringing characters back one by one, but they never stick around for longer than an episode. So it's like it's cool to see these characters, but then when they leave at the end of the episode, it's like, oh, okay, so I guess we're done with them until like maybe season 2 or something. But like, it feels very disconnected. That I see the whole storyline coming together, especially now that we're going into the end of the season, but like there's just a lot of single story episodes, which is, that's totally cool. And I'm just glad to have more Star Wars content. But at the same time, I kind of want to see a little bit more detail, a little bit more things that they might expand upon. I'm a big story person. I love really detailed stories and stuff like that. So that's just me.
No. So this is a filmmaker question. So are you a character driven story or a plot driven story kind of guy?
I would have to say character driven. That is a good question. And I would have to say character driven. As much as I would love to say plot, because plot has so much to do with it. And you can have a really bad plot. You can have a really complex, intricate plot that's done really well. But if you have weak characters, you can't relate to them. You can't feel for them when they lose something, or you can't celebrate with them when they win something. And I think the character, it really comes down to the characters. And you have to understand what they're going through currently, where they're coming from, and everything like that.
And I guess that's why to bookend the 4 Star Wars movies a year. Another reason why I said no was because of that, because I'm a character driven film follower also, because I'd rather have that. Again, I love the plot driven ones, don't get me wrong, but I think exactly that. I want to know these characters inside and out. Like, and we always used to bitch about it when we were kids. We have 3 years to wait before Star Wars and Empire. We have 3 years, 3 years. Okay. Almost all of high school before you find out if Vader's lying or not. Right. But in those 3 years, like Chris said, we got to memorize it. We got to buy it. We got to get the toys. We got to reenact it. We got to envision it. We got to read about it. We got the poster. We got the socks. We got to ride our bike listening to them. It was the perfect way to marinate before you wait for the next film.
Right.
And now it's just like you just said, Doctor Strange is out. That was sweet. Oh, Captain Marvel's next. Oh, that was cool. Oh, Black Panther 2. Oh, wait, now the internals. It's just, but it's cool because I like my Marvel, like it's pure sugar. Like I like it. I consume it. I love the Marvel films. But, in 20 years, I don't know if I go back and watch Iron Man 2. In 20 years, I don't know if I go back and watch, Thor 3 or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
In Star Wars, for me, I think it is so unique and so character driven because our heroes, Han, Chewie, Ben, Vader, R2, 3PO, Leia, they were so larger than life that there was so many stories to tell around those characters that's what I really got from your script was it's very character driven because there's so much more exposition about what's happening to these guys, these characters, and why, and it's changing them. And that's a growth, and that's welcome because, again, it's hard to do. And again, I'll quote the one guy who was on the Star Wars Theory channel, and I think it was Alan Dean Foster. And I'll tell you this, Gabe, because I've told Chris this, and I haven't had a chance to tell you this, but Alan Dean Foster basically said, when everybody gets into films, they know they can't do the special effects. They know they can't do the directing. They know they can't do the music. But everybody thinks they can write, right? Everybody thinks we can write it. Like, this is easy. It's easy.
So true.
It's not. It's the hardest thing to do. I've tried it. I've success somewhat, but everybody out there, just try to write an original story with the beginning, middle, and end. Give me an inciting incident, right? Give me a climactic and give me a third act. It's very difficult. It's hard. And again, kudos to you, Gabe, because I see the talent in your writing. And like I said, I looked at it and there was nothing really to change except for one line, and I was like, oh, I think you take this line out but the line, Chris, honestly, keeping it real, the one line took me out of the story the same way it took Chris out of the story because it was based here. It was basically like, clearly the line isn't where's the beef. That's not the line. But if you put in all of a sudden, where's the beef? All of a sudden you're on Earth in the 80s, right? And so that one line,
I don't know if Gabe gets that one.
You know what I mean? Netflix and chill, right?
Right.
Anakin says to Padme, it would take you right out of it, right?
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it's fantastic. I think it's character driven. I think the plot device is moving forward. You're adding to the characters, and it's going to be fantastic. I think if you can pull this off, I think you got something, dude. I'm really proud of you, man. I think you got something.
Thank you. Yeah. That's really important. What you said, and I think that with this film, I don't have the resources to make like a Star Wars budget like film, But what I do have control over is how I portray these characters and how they interact with each other and stuff like that. And that's where I took it. I didn't have any illusions of making like a Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan versus Anakin lightsaber battle, because that's just beyond me. So for all the people watching, you can't expect something like that, but what you can expect is just a lot of story, and we're figuring out a lot about these characters. And I hope that if we see Bo-Katan again in a new season of Mandalorian, that with what we know about her through this film, that we can understand her a little bit more, because I think she was a weak character in season 2 of Mando. She was very one-sided and honestly kind of just unlikable. And she is a very important character in the Star Wars universe. And I think that this film will, and not only Bo-Katan, but there's some other characters in there too that are involved. And yeah, I think that what I controlled with this was not really the amount of visual effects or something like that, but how point A gets to point B.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Chris agreed with this comment, which is crazy. Ryan says, I think that what hurt the sequels the most was poor characters outside of Kylo. And that's a negative, Ghost Rider. Let me name a couple more characters that were, whether you like their arc or not, they were great characters. Luke, Han, Chewie, Leia. Those 4 characters were extended beyond what we knew them at after the Battle of Endor. Whether you like their arc or not, right? Gabe shaking his head, right?
Yeah.
That's character exposition. That's the arc.
My response to that comment, though, was actually based on the new characters. I felt like Kylo had a great backstory, great depth, and I think he was the only one of the new ones that I really felt was a good character.
I disagree. Yeah. I think Ray's.
Yeah, I know. We've got different opinions, obviously. Yeah.
Clearly, Ray's fantastic.
Very much so.
Yeah. I didn't mind Finn's arc either, because he had a huge arc. People say he didn't, but he did.
Started out with a great arc. I just felt like it kind of but this is not that show. Not today.
It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
Oh, I didn't sign up tonight to talk about the sequels.
Oh. Okay, so basically, Gabe, I'm kidding. You like that, Chris? Ooh. Hey. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
Don't
Gabe,
do it again.
Let's give you the last word, Gabe, because I want to talk Star Wars. I love talking Star Wars with Gabe. I've known him his whole life. I want to know where his Star Wars needle points. What's your true north? So give us your Star Wars dudeness in like 5 minutes or less, like what it is, what it means to you, what you like, what you dislike. Don't worry about hurting anybody's feelings. This is a safe zone. Just talk about what Star Wars means to you, man. Wrap it up for us.
Star Wars is awesome to me. I think it's probably my favorite, movie series. And I know that it's more than just a movie series. And it is more than that to me as well. But if I were to pick favorite movie series, Star Wars would definitely be up there. But what I love beyond the films is the massive universe that is Star Wars. Like, there's history that extends thousands of years before we even see a Star Wars movie. And there's, stuff that happens after the movies as well. But like, there's just so much that happens. And, I am a big prequel person. You called me out on that one, but it's because there's so much happening.
Well, that's my daughter, Brittany, is a little bit older than you, Gabe. And Brittany's in our podcast. Brittany's an unabashed. She loves the prequels because that's what she grew up with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, there's so much happening. That Coruscant is like a humongous planet, and there's like so much going on there. Like, you could make a film about just a single citizen that lives on Coruscant. And that's what I love, because every single character, even if it's just like a tiny little speck, like in the background, like they all have a character, or like they all have a story. And there's just like so much activity. There's aliens, and like, there's just like so much cool, like, world building, and like, it's really universe building. and it's just really great for me, and that's why I just love it. And I really enjoy watching the films, rewatching the films and stuff like that. With Marvel, they're already getting to a point where there are movies that you can skip, and like there's essential movies. And like if Lucasfilm keeps making more Star Wars content, like we were talking about, multiple films every year, then like it's going to kind of water down the whole. And like, not that I would be complaining, because there would be just more content to see, and that would be great. But like, it will come to a point where there are essential films and non-essential films, and I don't want to have that to happen. But yeah, and then I grew up. I was in middle school, or actually maybe even elementary school, when the Clone Wars, the movie and the series came out. I was talking to Chris about this, and I basically grew up on waiting for a new Clone Wars episode to come out like every Friday night, going to my friend's house. So like that's
the best, right?
Yeah.
Order a pizza and watch some movies together on the weekend.
Dude. Oh yeah.
And I had all my action figures out and like recreated what happened in this episode, or like maybe what happened after that or something like. And that was like mini director.
I love it.
Starting to tell stories already and like figure things out.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. What I also want to do, Gabe, is this is your formal invite, because I'm going to make it happen, because we got a lot of stuff going on, and me and Gabe are going to have lunch with Walter, because I want Walter to kind of take you under his wing and start showing you more stuff in the film industry. But we have a little group on Facebook. It's just us, like our little lunch table at high school. It's like us 10 people, these 10 kids that we've all known each other for decades. And it's the Star Wars 1138 Facebook group. And we get together once a month, once every other month. And now that this COVID and we can do it safely, we're going to start getting together starting next month at the end of July. And we're going to do it at my house. And so I want to invite you, Gabe, because then we'll have stuff to show guys. So guys like Chris can come over, Reese and Dom and JFed and Ryan and whatever. We're going to have a little powwow get together again at my house. And I want you to bring some of your stuff, maybe some storyboards, some stuff you've already shot. And we could all experience this together, because I have a theater also in my basement, and we can show these guys some stuff. So I'm working on a lot of things as I do. I go 80 some hours a week, every week. It's just crazy, but I'm working on that also. So I'm really excited. So Chris, again, we'll put it up on our Facebook group that, hey, at the end of July, because we start shooting in the middle of July, and I'm going to be around just to document you making the film also, Gabe, with my own little iPhone or whatever, blah, 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 because then I'll turn over all the footage to you and we can edit it, because I want to show the whole process, because that's one thing with my guitar videos on my guitar channel is we help each other. Like, here's how I did this and you showed me how you did that. And it's just a great community. So there's nothing but up to look forward to with this. We start shooting in a couple of weeks. Gabe's the writer and director. This is going to be fantastic. He's looking for our fourth quarter release of the film. We're definitely taking it with us to Celebration. So any other final thoughts you got, Gabe or Chris?
No, I would just say, keep looking out for new details that are being released with this film, and, keep up to date. I have not created any social media accounts for this film yet, but I'm going to do that hopefully this week. So yeah.
And then I will drop that stuff exclusively on our Big Top Collectibles page and on this channel, because I want to get the stuff directly from Gabe and then get it to you guys. So follow us and I'll get you all that stuff. Like, even if it's like a sketch, or if it's like a line, or if it's like a shot of a helmet, like Inside Out or something. And I know you get it, Gabe, you get the process. So again, I can't wait to share this with everybody. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Chris?
I was just going to say, we're looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing the process, seeing how this goes, and this is going to be fun. So I'm excited for you, man.
We got to get Chris. We got to get Chris in a stormtrooper outfit. You got to play a stormtrooper on film, man. Come on,
I do it all the time. You just don't know it.
Well, thanks.
Okay, just kidding.
Which reminds me of the Kevin Smith quote from Chasing Amy. Man, what you don't know about me, I can just about fit in the Grand Canyon. Man,
all right, man.
That's awesome. Okay, Gabe. Well, again, let's go ahead and wrap it up really quick, guys. This has been Star Wars from a Certain Point of View with Carlos and Chris. We want to thank filmmaker, writer, director Gabe Kawamura, who's working on his fan film called Bo-Katan. And actually, Gabe, we didn't even give out the whole title. So let's hold on to that. I want to hold on to that because
okay. No releases yet?
No, because it's such a great title, and I'm hoping you do like the logo and stuff, because then I want to drop it that way.
Yeah.
I want to go, here's the font, here's the logo, here's the thing, here's the boom shaka.
Yeah, like the release poster or something.
Exactly.
Like that,
Yeah,
the announcement poster.
The teaser A poster. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. And we're going to be chronicling. Yes. The entire process of Gabe's fan film with Bo-Katan. We can't give away the name yet, but please stay tuned. We'll have a lot more stuff. And thanks, guys, for joining. This was a lot of fun. And Gabe, I will talk to you tomorrow. Chris, I'll talk to you tomorrow also. And then again, we got a lot of more stuff that we're going to be working on. So thanks, guys. Everybody have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Brent. That's awesome. It's a good script, right, Chris? It's a good script.
It's fun, man. I think it's a fun story.
Stephen Green, one woman. We got to do that. We got to do the Ryan Jenkins ASMR thing. Gabe Kawamura.
Oh Lord.
I don't get it either. Man. I don't get it. Everyone have a good night. Later.
Later.